Hi everyone, I'm here with a video about the tarot decks that I'm going to be using and oracle decks for the month of August and a little bit about like my tarot practice for the month. Welcome to those of you who are new here. I'm Lou the Rocker Witch, and welcome back to those of you who've been here for a while. So I'm going to flip the gram around in a minute, but I just wanted to talk a little housekeeping. For the month of August, I'm going to be doing an astrology sale on my Etsy shop. So I have both birth chart readings and I have like year ahead readings, and they're going to be at a reduced price. There's no code or anything. I'm just reducing the price by 20%. So that's going to be for the month of August if you're interested in that. I am seriously thinking about getting rid of my Etsy and moving my shop over just to my website. And the reason for that is like I've been on Etsy for a while and it's been great, but in the past while their fees have like gone up like so much. Like the cut that they take from your sales is really big. Like for example, let's say I sold like a $75 reading, I would only see $50. And before it'd be like, they take like a couple of bucks or whatever and that's fine, but it's like the chunks getting bigger and bigger where it's making it like I don't know how worth it is. So I may be moving it over there at some point. But for now, I thought for the month of August, because August is my birthday month. I am a Leo, proud Leo. And as part of celebrating my birthday month, I'm doing an astrology sale because why not? So you can check that out if you're interested in astrology reading. But yeah, let's move over to the drop down view where you can see the cards that I'm working with for the month of August. So these were the decks that I worked with last month in June. I have here the Druidcraft Tarot, and then I have the Gospel of Aradia. And both of these decks are not decks that I've worked with in a while, which is why I kind of pulled them out. Like this year I've been trying to work with decks that I haven't worked with in a while, kind of revisit them, see if I still like them, what I think about them. And so for the month of June, I took out the Druidcraft, and I was thinking of doing a trim, and I might still, but I actually really enjoyed it, and I really loved touching base with this deck again and just revisiting some of this beautiful, gorgeous artwork. So it was a real pleasure just to kind of reacquaint myself. It's kind of like an old friend that I hadn't seen in a while, and now I'm getting back in touch with them. So I really like this deck, and I think I'll put it back into kind of my rotation for the month. So I'm really glad that I did that and revisited it. I also worked with the Gospel of Aradia. Now, one of the complaints I have about this deck, and again, this is a deck I hadn't used in a while, is that it's only 36 cards. The artwork on this is absolutely gorgeous, but I would have loved to have more cards to work with. The other thing too is that with this particular deck, I don't know, like I'm still going to keep this deck, but I feel like for some reason it didn't resonate with me as much as maybe it did in the past, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. That just happens sometimes where we're working with a deck and then, for whatever reason, the energy just doesn't really, jive with us in that particular moment. I love this particular card. I think this card is really, really beautiful. So I have been working with this deck, but I'm not gonna discard this deck. I'm gonna keep working with it, I think, but I don't know when it'll go back into rotation again, and maybe I'll feel called to work with it, at another time. So this month, I thought I would do the same thing where I kind of pull out some decks that I haven't worked with in a while. And so I pulled out the Modern Spellcasters Tarot. Now this is a deck. I got this deck, I feel like it was like a few years ago. I'm actually going to look at the publishing date on this, if I can find one. Bear with me. Should be in the beginning here somewhere. 2016. So I got this back in 2016 because I did get this when this was relatively new. So 2016, maybe early 2017. I've not used it in like a monthly sort of practice. This has been sitting on my shelf. I think I bought it at the time and I was like, oh, I'm going to work with this deck, you know, this particular month. Because I usually, what I do is I pick a deck for a month, and that's what I work with for the month in my own personal practice, but also in readings with others. And this one just kept being put off. So I am committed to working with this for the month of August. So this is, you know, it's 2016 Llewellyn. So we do have this lovely magnetic box here, which I love. We do have a really nice book. It is not the full color, but I don't mind that. So we've got our book with the black and white kind of thumbnails in it. So very, very nice. I do love the backs of this particular deck. I think it is really lovely. I love the little, you know, 4 directions with the animals here. So we've got like a squirrel for earth, we've got bird for air, fox for fire, and we've got our fish for water, obviously. So I feel like this is almost like I got a brand new deck that I haven't, because I haven't really worked with it. Now, I do love, just trying to get the lighting better there. There we go. I love that it's borderless. I love that it's just the little bar here with the title, so you don't have some big, you know, thing on the bottom. I think that's really great. I almost feel like I'm looking at this deck and, you know, for the first time. And I do like, I know a lot of people talk about Llewellyn cardstock, but I actually like it. This one's like, you know, it's a little bit maybe thinner, but that's okay. It's great for shuffling. So I'm looking forward to getting to know this deck, because I got this deck, put it on the shelf, said I'm going to work with it. I think I thought in the fall or something, and then didn't really end up working with it. And so now I feel like I want to get to know this deck. It's kind of like, you know, I've put it on the shelf, and, you know, I don't like having decks and then not using them. I feel like every deck deserves to be loved, deserves to be used. I think that this deck is, so far it's looking, you know, like fairly diverse and stuff, which is good. I like that the 10 of Cups here, we don't have the children here or anything. It's like the happy family is like a group of friends or maybe a group of adults. You know, it's nice to see like little bits of variation here. This beautiful King of Wands. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but just to give you an idea of like, I'm looking to reconnect or get to know this particular deck. Wands. It's really beautiful. Yeah, I'm not sure why it ended up shelved. I think I got other decks, and this ended up just kind of getting put off and put to the side. So I'm going to be working with this month, the month of August, and I'll let you know at the end of August what I thought of this deck. You know, did I like it? Did I not like it? How did I find the energy? So that is the tarot deck that I'm going to be working with for this particular month. Now, I do pair my tarot decks with cartomancy decks. If you ever got reading from me, I read with both. So I'll have the tarot card, and then I'll also pull a Lenormand card to go with it. And so I'm going to continue to use for July and August the Celtic Lenormands. I think it'll go pretty well with the Spellcaster. It went beautifully with the Druidcraft just because it is the same artist. This deck has a couple of extra cards in it compared to other Lenormands. There's 2 trees, there's 2 snakes, there's 2 different men, 2 different women. There is 2 child cards, a boy and a girl. So you can pick which one you want to use. But as well, I like to keep them all in there because I use one snake as deception and one snake as regeneration. So I use them in kind of slightly different ways. But I think that the art will probably go fairly well with the other deck. There's one of the trees. It's the winter tree. There's a summer tree as well. And I just think this is a lovely deck to work with for the summer. I think it's got this very like summer harvest type vibe to it. So I think it'll be really good as well to work with for the month of August. Now I do like also using a couple of oracle decks too in my practice. Like when I read for people, I'll usually pull a couple of oracle cards just to kind of end off the reading. I find it rounds it out really nicely and often adds sort of like an uplifting message to any reading. And so for this month, I have picked a deck, another deck I haven't used in a while, which is the Messenger Oracle. Let's see if we can get it out a little bit there. So this is the older version of the Messenger Oracle. It has been reissued in a borderless format, which I have actually thought about getting because the artwork on this is beautiful, but the borders are like really big on this. And Again, I think this has a really nice summery type vibe to it. Let's get that in the middle here. Let's zoom in a little bit. But as you can see, like these borders are really huge, and you know, borders don't usually bother me too much, but these ones are really big. And then after seeing them without the border, the reissued, I was like, oh, that looks so nice. That looks so good. I think too this will go really well with kind of the fantasy type vibes that the Spellcasters Tarot has. I think these will go together really well because we've got all sorts of like sort of fae imagery. We've got dragons here. I think they'll just go together really well and have like a, you know, a nice vibe to play off each other. Lots of dragons in this particular deck. So, you know, it's kind of fiery Leo vibes there. So I really want to see how these two work together, how they pair. Also, you know, getting to know this one again. This one was a deck that I used a lot in the past, and then again I kind of put on a shelf. I've been using the Seekers Oracle, the other one by Raven Felon, a little bit more, but I want to kind of like reconnect with this. This is very much, you know, it's Venus retrograde that we have going on this month, so it's great to reconnect with old friends, including old decks. Now, another deck that is a favorite of mine, so, you know, it's not really reconnecting because I love this deck, but I thought it would just be really wonderful to work with for the month of August, is the Sacred Rebels Oracle. I feel like the Spellcaster Tarot kind of has a more masculine vibe to it, and this one I think will help to balance that out with some feminine vibes as well. So this is Blue Angel. I think this has been reissued in matte, I think. However, I like glossy better, so I'm actually happy to have this particular version. I find this deck is very healing. I think the messages in here are, you know, very deep. They are deeply psychological, very healing. They are not fluffy. They're not on the surface, but there's still this very like positive healing type messages. Stuff like what is already with you, like you already have everything that you need. You know, visions of life beyond death. Lots of owls in this card, in this deck too. I think this would be also a deck that would pair really well with the Owl Tarot, just because of all the owls that you see in here. Faith in the process, inspiration, dream, a beautiful dream. We have this beautiful sacred geometry going on, and the artwork here is just like it's beautiful. It's really, really lovely. This is one of my favorite decks. I find it's one that really helps me tap into sort of that deep feminine sort of goddess type energy, and it's also a deck I think that really encourages you to be creative and also to be yourself. So I find this just like a really positive, wonderful deck to work with. So these are the decks I'm going to be working with for the month of August. If you're getting a reading from me, or if you're one of my patrons, on my Patreon I have like a weekly Taroscope that I do. I do a weekly astrology forecast. So it's like I do the astrology, show you the weather for the month, and then I do a Taroscope where it's showing how that's going to affect you. I also have levels where I do monthly personal private readings for people. So if you want to check that out, of course, like go ahead, check that out. Check out my Patreon, check out my Etsy if you're interested in getting a reading. Thank you so much to all of you that watch, so to you that comment, and of course, thank you to my patrons as well who are so supportive, and I really appreciate you help me to keep going. But thank you to everybody who watched this. Let me know what you are working with for the month of August. Let me know what you think of these decks, what your thoughts are. Do you have them in your collection? Do you want them? How do you find their energies? I would love to hear all that. So as always, I'm going to do the ending. Peace and love and rock and roll.